Hi, and welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Marvel Legends, the Punisher War Journal 2-pack of the Punisher and Bushwacker. And I am going to rightly admit, I know nothing about the Bushwacker. I don't really even care too much about him, although with the regular hands, I think I can probably work him in as just a regular character, or he can just be some new agent of Cobra for G.I. Joe. And obviously the Punisher, well, we can do all kinds of things with the Punisher. I can do photographies with it, whether it be with Wolverine and Marvel, or maybe I can use them somehow with the G.I. Joes. I mean, there's lots of things you can use the Punisher for. So anyway, we're going to take a look at this figure. We can see there's two figures here. An alternate head, lots of weaponry. Like, I need more weapons. But I have a feeling I could probably come up with a few better weapons if really need be. Alright, so there it is on the back here. We can see that this is from War Journal. And again, you can see Bushwacker attacking the Punisher right there, Frank Castle. So anyway, I am looking forward to this. I do hope it's hopefully it is a fun set. I've seen a lot of people seem to really be happy with it. There's one thing that I see that I don't like, but maybe it's something we can remove, or it doesn't have to be there, and that's this little piece on the Punisher face there, and it's because it looks like it's part of his belt. So anyway, let's get into this. Let's see if these figures work with the G.I. Joe Classified. Let's see if they're worth Marvel Legends, because I've mentioned, I think Marvel Legends has really been kicking it out of the park through 2024. I know it's 2025 right now. So anyway, let's get to this. But before we do, if you like this type of content, you like the stuff of Marvel Legends that I've been giving you, maybe you like to see if things fit with your G.I. Joe Classified, take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification before you say something. I know there's nothing there. Now let's get to it. All right, so here he is. Here they are. The figures are out now. If you're new to the channel, I always like to go over the accessories first. So we'll start with the hands, and the first ones that we're going to take a look at are these kind of two-finger pointing hands. I think this will be really nice for photography or just some sort of setup. Also be nice if we can use this on other figures that just have a full black glove. All right, but the detail in it I think looks pretty good. I do love when you can kind of see the bone structure right through it, so that looks, I mean, can't complain too much there. We have a couple of fists right here, because he's always going to be punching something. And then we have the left trigger finger, and of course on it he has a opening hand, which is for the grenade, and then we have a trigger finger over on that side. As for Bushwacker here, he has a finger gun. Now, from what I understand, he is able to use this as a he can fire things. I don't understand. I don't know anything about it. Again, look at the nice detail in the veins there, and then it looks like he's a port for blast effects, which I can grab a blast effect in a second, and we can try it out here. Let me see if I can find one. I think I'd have something a little bit closer. So an Operation Monster Force blast effect here, and it plugs in perfectly fine. So if you want to use something like that, yeah, all these Operation Monster Force, they come with these blast effects. Actually, they come with multiple ones. So, and then we have a trigger finger. And a trigger hand. I don't plan on using anything else other than the actual hands. All right, but again, it's nice and has this nice glove to it. You got some nice detail right up on top here. It looks like it's kind of folded over a little bit. I like the fact that you can see his hand here. So it does look good. I like stuff like this. Here we have this pretty cool blast effect where all stuff is just kind of exploding out. And I think this will go really well with my scrap iron stuff for G.I. Joe. But you can see all this little shrapnel that is kind of exploding out of it. And you got to love the fact that they took some time. Not only did they take detail, do all this kind of detail in this kind of mushroom explosion, but when you look at it, when it hits the light properly, you can just see that there's a little bit of spray on it. So it just isn't all one color. This is more like the clouds of the explosion. So, and it's actually pretty sturdy, which is more than I could say for what's about to come. Here we have a hand grenade. We got the nice handle here. We got a pin. And look over here. We got one that looks very similar to it. And got the Punk with Toys hand grenade. They're actually not that much. They're really not too different, to be honest. Other than theirs doesn't say a Punk with Toys. But again, looks nice. Nice and round there. Here we have the pin, the handle. So the detail on that is actually pretty decent. I'm not sure how we're going to get that to stay on them. All right, as for the weapons that they come with. They come with what I believe is a 45. I do believe I have this with a Deadpool figure. Paint here looks good. So here's your grip. You can see that it is riveted in. You got some nice detail right there on that grip. Up on top, the little ventilation, trigger. No port for blast effects. Kind of odd that they give you blast effects for his hands and everything. All right. And there, here you can see the slide out of it. Here we have this weapon. I do not know the name of it. It does have a port for blast effects. Got this nice ventilation. Magazine is not removable. I don't know if they do removable magazines with Marvel Legends. But again, this detail here I think is really nice. There you have your iron sight. It looks like it has a stock that's supposed to be on it maybe. I don't know, maybe it doesn't. Now, it is straight, but I can tell you this, it definitely flexes. And we're going to discuss that in a minute. Here we have the, it's an M4, but it's called the 203. Someone got, I think, upset with me for calling it an M4 with the 203. Whatever. Has a sight on it. Here's your scope. Here's your stock, which is supposed to be a collapsible. The 203 here. No port for blast effect on either one. You're sitting on a rail system. And here I believe you have a laser pointer. All right, once again, no removable magazine, but I do like that this is worn. It just gives it a little bit of detail. It is straight, but this thing is so bad. And I know because I have a Deadpool that is the exact same way. And we've gone over the G.I. Joe Classified that if they're getting rid of it, I don't know why Marvel Legends isn't either. So then we have this Uzi. All right. Collapsible stock, which doesn't work. Removable magazine. Well, I'm sorry. A non-removable magazine. Again, barrel. Iron sights. It is a nice looking Uzi for the most part. But I have some complaints. And I know I'm told I'm not supposed to complain. I should just be happy. Now, quickly, here is Snake Eyes, and this is Snake Eyes Uzi. Now, understand this, through the rights, even though they're both owned by Hasbro, Disney owns everything, or Marvel owns everything that happens through the Marvel license, Star Wars, anything like that, right? So if they use the same mold, if they were to leave, they get the molds and everything from my understanding. So here's Snake Eyes Uzi. It's a wonderful looking weapon. And then here is the Punishers. And they are so out of scale together that it blows my mind. Like this one just looks way too big. All right. And now you may say, well, you know what? They're two different figures. They're not supposed to scale the same. All right. Here's Leatherneck in his M4 with the 203. He's going to fall over. And here's this one. And now I know these are always different, but again, you can just see the scale. The G.I. Joe stuff I think looks so much better. I actually think this is a pretty nice looking rifle if it wasn't so soft. But they're just completely different. Like it blows my mind that we're kind of here. But anyway, just two things that I kind of wanted to point out, that these weapons don't really fit. But again, I have so many different weapons, whether they be 3D printed or actual plastic mold injection figures, plastic mold injected weapons from other companies. So, all right. As for the figures, we'll take a look at them. So here is our Bushwacker. I'm going to try and move this up just a little bit. All right. Now, again, I know nothing about this character, so please don't get mad at me if I butcher something. All right. So he's got this nice flat top. That hair looks pretty good on him. And then he has this little rat tail. And you can see that it is braided. And then he obviously has this scarred face. Now, I don't know about it. I'm assuming it has something to do with the same way that he can change out his arms to be weapons. So that is absolutely disgusting. But at the same time, I'm intrigued by it. So it's going to go all the way down through his neck. Look at that. All up onto his face. Looking at his eyes, they look good. Paint seems to be right where they're supposed to be. Teeth. And then you have some nice painted lips. He's got this popped collar and a nice t-shirt underneath. Look at the detail on the shirt right underneath there. All right, looks like a real t-shirt that someone would be wearing. I don't know why anyone would pop a collar in this day and age, but hey, to each their own. Nice blue shirt. Here we have his nice muscularity. And then we have this arm cannon. It's literally an arm cannon with 5 different ports for blast effect. Just looking at that, those are too big. So you need some sort of sticky tack to make that work. Or maybe they make a bigger blast effect. I'm not completely sure. There's his belt buckle. So you have his belt buckle there. And then belt loops, which I think go really far. I've talked about this while doing the classic reviews of the G.I. Joe O-rings. Pockets on the back here. So they really did a nice job. Now here we come down to still using pinned legs, and I understand that these companies do this, but I think we're at a point that if you have molds and you have more than one mold, you've been doing them for quite some time, I think we can get rid of the pins. Start finding some pinless. Nice little boots right here. All right, you can see the shoelaces. And again, I think it looks really good. I love the way it just kind of hangs up over. It's a lot like the G.I. Joe Classified Shipwreck, except his hang just down a little bit lower. As for the articulation on this figure, he can look down really nice, and he can look up like that, side to side. All right. He has a T-pose, which, well, one seems to go a little bit better than the other. So that's his T-pose. Not the greatest. His bicep swivel, double pinless elbows, and obviously his wrist swivel here. All right. And very smooth. I don't have any issues. I don't feel like anything is tight. No butterfly joints right there. So he's not going to be able to cross over and really do a shooting pose. Ab crunch goes that far back, and then he turns side to side. Now, this is something that people have complained about, and I didn't really notice even throughout the figures that I had reviewed, is that people absolutely hate this. So Marvel Legends, if you're listening, they hate this. That cut, it really does make it look pretty janky when someone is turning their body. And if you're asking, well, what are they supposed to do? G.I. Joe, they hide it underneath there. So when you turn, the body doesn't separate. Now there's a belt on him. Of course I don't have one. All these figures that are lying around. Here's one. Well, I guess I have this one right here. I actually thought that was obstructing it. So if you're wondering what I'm talking about, see how that fits? It actually dips inside of it. So it doesn't have that just like cut off right there. And I think that really does help with the look of the figure. All right. Here's this Jean-Claude Van Damme. Not that good. There is no drop down pin and drop down hips. Again, if you're wondering what drop down hips are, these are drop down hips. They drop down like so. It allows them to do a good Jean-Claude Van Damme. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is there may be some new Marvel Legends people, maybe never see my channel. And they're like, dude, what are you talking about? And I'm not criticizing it. I'm just kind of pointing some stuff out. There we have the thigh swivel, double pinned knees. This figure is really smooth. All right. And then no boot cut. Now, man, that is a disappointment. So he has ankle rockers, and then he turns back and forth. And now you're asking, what the hell is a boot cut? A boot cut means when they turn, they should completely turn across like this. And I believe Leatherneck has it. So you can see how the ankle joint twists right there. The articulation, and I'm not trying to criticize, on G.I. Joe, the classified figures are just way better than a lot of the Marvel Legends, and I think it's something they could definitely work on getting better. As for the hand, that thing comes right off pretty easily, all right? So that thing just popped right off. And we can take this hand and throw this right on him. So he does have the trigger fingers. We're going to need that because whether I use these weapons or some other weapons, that's what he's going to be using, not this disgusting hand. Now, as for the Punisher. So here we have his alternate head, his screaming head. And if we take a look at it, he definitely has some 5 o'clock shadow, some stubble there growing. His hair is, I mean, you would think that a guy like this probably wouldn't care too much about his hair, but he seems to take a lot of pride in it. I'm not a big fan of yelling faces. They're great for photography at times. But if I have one on my shelf, I'm normally not going to use it unless it's in an action pose. But the hair, for the most part, does look good. Eyes look good. Again, teeth are pretty good. Good looking yelling pose, yelling face, if that's what you want. As for this one, I can't stop but see, you know, Daniel-san Miyagi-Do with the headband. I really don't like the headband. So I got 2 head sculpts that I'm not superly fond of. And this is only because of that stupid headband. I really wish it wasn't on there, but I knew what I was getting when I ordered it, so please don't say you're complaining. I'm just saying something I don't like. But this headband does look good. And before anyone says anything, I do understand that it is part of the actual comic. He wears this, so I get it. All right? I'm just saying I don't personally like it. But it does look good. There's no paint rub on it. Again, same 5 o'clock shadow. This is more of a scowl. That is my dog Roman, if you don't know who he is. Eyes look good, got some good eyebrows, and once again, the hair is in some, it's pretty good, and I don't think it doesn't look to be the same hair, so that's always a plus, right? We got the some shotgun shells, although he doesn't come with a shotgun, unless if this underneath is supposed to be a shotgun. It's not. So I have shotgun shells here. I got shotguns, so I can find one to go with them. And this piece does come off if need be. So if you want to take them off and just have him have a regular one, just like a regular suit, he's perfectly fine. You can see the nice little clasp there to hold everything together. And you can tell these straps. And I think that detail looks really good. All right, when you get to the fine detail, you got to love that type of stuff. All right. As for his belt, he's got the pouches. Sorry, my dog is distracting me. He's got the pouches all the way around. And then we have these 4 big ones. That's what she said, I know. So, my hope, I'm looking at this. We could take this off. I could cut these down if need be. I have a feeling that these here, this is my imagination, is there's stick mags for this. Now, that would be cool if this was white, painted white. Maybe I'll paint these white if that's what I want to go with. Or maybe it's for this one, right? Maybe it's this one. Paint this one white, even though that looks a little different. Either way, I'm not a fan of this. I just don't really care for the way that it looks. But it is what it is. It's there. And you can tell that they've obviously been hit. All right. So they're kind of scratched up there. Maybe it's in the comic. Maybe he wears something like this in the comic. Maybe it's some sort of armor. Who knows? As for the face here, we got the eyes on the mask, the nose. All right, it looks like the Punisher. Look, here we have a drop-down holster for the pistol. I'm not used to ones that are just so gummy. And it rides all the way down to where his boot is, and you can see he has a boot cut here. So hopefully he has a little bit better articulation than the other one. All right, and then you just have the regular boots and some heels. These pop up, which makes me worry that he might stand pretty well. I know I have issues with some of the G.I. Joe Classified that do that. So, as for the articulation, he can look down really nice, and he can look up pretty well, side to side. There is his T-pose, which looks good. Bicep swivel. Pinless double elbows. Does he have... No, I thought maybe he had a not a wrist, but a forearm cut there. Then his hands, same with on this side, pretty good. Now here he has the diaphragm cut, so he can swivel back and forth. He can move forward that much and move back like that. And he has, again, we can see everything underneath him. I actually think that looks good. He's got some pretty nice abs, I gotta say that. But he more has a cut right down there. So his ab crunch is almost opposite. Kind of like what they did with some of the other figures, the female figures. He does have the butterfly joints, unlike Bushwacker here. Now the question is, how well do they work? Can he cross over? And I think that these things, this strap might just be in the way. Or if we got rid of that, he actually looks like he crosses over pretty damn well. And if you don't know what this is for, that is so you can hold a gun like this, but this kind of obstructs it, but I think we'd be able to do that if we didn't have that. Here is your T-pose. No drop down hips. He has the thigh cut, pinless double knees, boot cut, and your ankle rocker. So for the most part, I think this figure is not that bad. Actually, it's a pretty good figure, just right away. So you pop off the head here. He's got a standard side ball joint for the head, something you're not going to find on G.I. Joe, as they use a small one. That's what she said. We can pop that right on there. All right, so trigger fingers, how well does he hold the grenade? I guess he just kind of holds the grenade. All right, let's pop this off. I'm going to throw on this. Take the pistol, see if we can slide it in the holster. So that fits, not that bad. How well does it stay up on here? Well, that's a whole other story. These types of holsters tend to fall down. But I like the different colored grip here, because when you look at that, it gives it just a little bit of depth. And you can tell that the boots are a different black than the rest of his suit. And then you just have a little bit of detail right there. All right. Now we grab the Uzi. And it's a big one. I'm not even going there. All right, so no problem here, kind of getting him to hold it. And I do not use stands, so I always like to show people how easy it is to stand a figure. All right, are you going to struggle with it, fight with it? There you go with that. We'll take this here and throw this on him. And even though the guns are soft, and it is disappointing, as long as they're straight, I will absolutely survive and not have too many complaints about it. Although someone's going to say, all you've done is complained. I'm really just trying to point out the actual figure. All right. So there's your Bushwacker Again, neither one do I have any type of problem. This desk is awful. So, neither one I have a problem standing. All right. As for their height, Bushwacker. He's on an angle too. There ain't no way he's staying there. So he's a tall boy here. All right. So you can see he's much taller than Frank Castle, the Punisher. I don't have a problem with that, as we know figures are not all the same. As for Snake Eyes, Frank Castle seems to be a little bit taller than Snake Eyes, which means he'll be a lot taller than Leatherneck. I'm not even going to get into that. Here's the brand new dial tone, and he's roughly the same size. Now, as for the Bushwacker here, we'll grab a Sergeant Slaughter, and he seems to be even a little bit bigger than the Sarge. Just a little bit more. His head and his neck are. His shoulders come up to be around the exact same height there. And I swear I had a Roadblock. I think Roadblock is the tallest G.I. Joe figure. Him or, there we go. Causing all kinds of problems. Oh, so he's a little bit taller than Roadblock, just by a bit, so. But there you go. And I think we went over everything. And again, if you're new to the channel and you're wondering why I do this, I like to show everyone exactly what you're getting, how hard it is to pose these figures. If it's something you want to get into, a lot of guys do some wonderful poses, but how long did it take them to get that pose and get that all situated, right? He actually sits on his knees pretty well. All right, so let's wrap this up. All right, so there you go. That is the Punisher and the Bushwacker Marvel Legends review. I gotta say, I actually really like this figure. I think his articulation is pretty good. He doesn't have drop-down hips. I've mentioned before, I'm not a huge fan of drop-down hips. It's just one more point to possibly break on a figure, but it does give a lot of articulation, though he doesn't have too much of an issue. He doesn't get a full Jean-Claude Van Damme, but pretty close, to be honest. So I guess, looking at this figure, I mean, he's the one who's really worth it. I don't think this is a bad figure, and I think he'll fit in with my Cobra designs, or my Cobra figures, pretty damn well, or maybe this Serpentor. I like to break them up, because Serpentor is not Cobra Commander. Anyway, there you go. That is the Marvel Legends, the Punisher War Journal 2-pack. I'm going to get out of here, but you stayed this long. You're new to the channel, please take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop Marvel Legends. So I'm going to get out of here, but please, you stayed this long, you're like, you have some awesome videos. I'm like, hell yeah, I do. I got like 1,000 of them. So right up here is going to be the last Marvel Legends review that I did, and here's a playlist to all the other Marvel Legends I've done. Take care.